ReFantazio is the Persona we've always wanted. Except it's not really Persona at all. And a completely different game. Announced way back in 2016 as Project ReFantazio, Metaphor ReFantazio is an RPG that manages to stand out in a year full of heavy competitors like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and Saga Emerald Beyond. Though of course it's most well known for being an Atlas game with a character designer from Persona, after playing the demo it does manage to carve out its own identity while simultaneously not letting down Persona enjoyers disappointed with the lack of Persona 6 announcement. On a surface level, Metaphor ReFantazio kinda looks like if you took Persona and smashed it together with an isekai. You got your self-insert protagonist, a cute mascot sidekick, a bootleg Velvet Room, but once you get into it more, you'll realize that it's not quite the case. Not only is it not an isekai, thank God, it's a full-fledged fantasy that's unique and has strong world building that's fun to delve into. Though Metaphor ReFantazio doesn't have characters ripping off a mask or shooting themselves in the head, it does have its own character awakening moments that are just as, if not more, badass. In Metaphor ReFantazio, characters rip their heart out, and sometimes even scream into it before jumping into battle. I really liked this visual since it felt like a really fun way to kind of take the whole idea of wearing your heart on your sleeve in a new direction by just, ripping it out entirely and exposing it to the world. Since, at least in the example so far, these moments were when characters really opened up to the party around them, showing their inner desires. Unlike Persona or Devil Summoners, where you're doing summoning, or Shin Megami Tensei, where you collect creatures and allies, when the characters awaken, you literally transform into an archetype and you do the fighting. And the first time it happened is the moment I was pretty much sold on the game, because honestly, it was just really cool. Perhaps the second most interesting moment in the demo for me was the reveal that the BGM is canon in the world, by turning it into one of Gallica's powers that can manifest one's emotions as music in their head. So not only do we hear the music, but canonically, so does our protagonist. That was a really fun twist, and a fourth wall break in a way I'd never seen before. When I was playing through the demo, I described it as kind of a persona that grew up with its audience, since it was refreshing having a cast that was not only not in high school finally, but that consists of a large variety of character types and ages, freeing the formula from the shackles connected to having a fully high school cast and opening up infinite possibilities. And speaking of breaking the formula, this game has a fully voiced protagonist. Well, at least as voiced as everyone else's, as not all the dialogue is voiced. But when it matters, there isn't this awkward dance with silence every time other characters interact with us. The main cast is also quite varied and fun, including Gallica, an outspoken but kind fairy who provides a lot of our exposition into the world, Stroll, a noble seeking justice for the destruction of his town, Grius, a married master of combat with a hot cat-girl wife and adorable daughter, Hulkenberg, a dignified and strong-willed knight struggling with having failed to protect her prince, this character that doesn't even look humanoid, because we're not only freed from high school shackles, but literally none of the characters are human, actually. Juna, a close aide to the game's antagonist, which is something I can't wait to unravel, and Yufa, a priestess with the ability to communicate face-to-face with her god, taking away any connection to the real world and its limitations, while at least as far as we know so far, has allowed Metaphor ReFantazio to come up with the character dynamics that were previously unimaginable in Persona or even Shin Megami Tensei, as now we aren't restrained to the real-world logic at all. So there's really no telling where the story will go. That being said, there is one strange connection to the real world. Well, outside of the suspicious opening cutscene that looks incredibly normal and out of place, the enemies in the game are referred to as humans, which definitely left me thinking, that's weird, because this doesn't look like any human I've ever seen before. These weird, biblically accurate humans are apparently based on designs by the Dutch painter Hieronymus Bosch. And when I say these designs can be weird, they can range from an egg with legs to whatever this thing is. Though Atlas is certainly not afraid of unique monster design, as we got the licking butt monster from Catherine. Not only that, but these are unlike any other monster seen elsewhere in the game, containing higher amounts of magla, Eucronia's form of magic, physical strength beyond imagining, and have barely been studied, so no one really knows what they are or where they came from, other than the fact that they destroy absolutely everything in their path and very few people can take them down. Basically, I was getting major Attack on Titan vibes. And that's what our antagonist, Louis, tries to take advantage of. By causing mass destruction via humans, he sets up scenarios where he himself is the only one capable of taking them down, framing himself as the ultimate hero and the obvious choice for the new king. Hilarious, really. As we, the player, know that the actual king was murdered by Louis for this very purpose. So actually, he's not really a hero so much as a regicidal maniac! But that's what makes him such a fun antagonist, and I'm really excited to see where the plot takes him in the future. Also, he's just really hot. Overall, from playing the demo, I can easily say the characters were one of the highlights of the game in general. They all felt very well-rounded, interesting, and the little bits of lore you can unlock in the in-game compendium, Memorandum, made me more interested in learning everything about them and seeing how they interacted with those around them. I really liked how it wasn't just the protagonist bringing them together too, but many had past connections, like Hulkenberg having worked with Grius at the castle many years before the plot commenced. I compared the feel of the cast overall to Three Houses, another game where colorful characters won me over in the first few hours of playing in a way that nothing until Metaphor ReFantazio has managed to do since. Sadly, there's no romance this time around, so sadly, I will not be marrying Stoll. But you can still strengthen bonds with characters. The gameplay overall is pretty story-heavy, so if you don't enjoy reading, you'll probably hate it. The combat is also turn-based, which tends to be something you either love or hate. But it does add in the ability to just whack weaker enemies instantly without entering a battle, which helps keep things moving quickly as long as your level is high enough. It also has an auto-battle feature, so you can set the game to fight while you do other things in order to get in longer play sessions if you're too busy to justify the turn-based grind, but can maybe justify jumping up to do some dishes or laundry while the fights play out for you. There is one other thing that tends to make or break your experience of the game. Metaphor ReFantazio is a political fantasy. No, I don't just mean the Western release, but the base vision of the game itself is heavily based on the politics of the Empire and its succession, as well as the discrimination various tribes across the Empire face and social hierarchies. The game doesn't only not shy away from these things, but heavily features them in almost every scene. So if you don't enjoy that type of narrative, this may not be the game for you. But if you're a fan of political narratives and fantasy worlds and enjoy games like Final Fantasy XIV, Three Houses, or Xenoblade, it does seem to have a well-fleshed-out world to immerse yourself in and take over your life. And take over your life it will, because apparently this game can easily take over 100 hours! Which means if you're like me and have 200 hours sunk into Three Houses and still never finished a single route, you're in for one hell of a time sink. But it seems like a worthy time sink, as reviewers seem to agree that the pacing never falters despite the long length, so you're in for one hell of a ride. Especially because, like Persona, the game features time-locked segments that are impossible to 100%. And if you're like me and feel compelled to unlock every line of dialogue, it's going to require multiple playthroughs. But if you have the time, it seems the experience will be well worth it, because Metaphor ReFantazio is getting high scores from all around, regularly scoring 9, 9.5, or even 10 out of 10, with some going so far as to say this is Atlus's magnum opus. It takes a lot of the things we know and love about other Atlus games and combines them together in a new and exciting way, making an experience that'll satisfy new and old fans alike. That being said, Atlus games and their long play times aren't for everyone, so make sure to check out the free demo to see if you like it before spending your hard-earned cash on a huge time sink that'll leave you disappointed if the genre isn't for you. The demo is also one of the best demos I've seen, spanning roughly around 4 to 6 hours and covering not only an introduction to the story, but also the combat, stat building, and even daytime system. So it does a really good job of giving you a taste of what the full game will be like without being so short that you actually have no idea what the full game will be like. But if you like the demo and want to play the full version, consider grabbing a physical copy from PlayAsia to support the channel while buying the game. And consider liking and subscribing to see more if you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye!